All right, welcome back to the Blender 3 Docwalk. This is the default key map. What we are going to be doing today is going through all of these as they mention right here in the documentation. This is not a comprehensive list. If you want a more detailed list, you can go into Blender itself and go to the key map there. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Okay, if we pop on over to Edit, here in the menu bar, go down to Preferences. Here is the Keymaps area. I've got to scroll to the bottom for some, or semi to the bottom. Okay, so if you scroll down a bit, these are some of the customizations you can do here. If you scroll down, let's close that. These are categorized by, you see, window, screen, view TD. So these are kind of contexts, right? Determining, you know, what's active, where your cursor is, that sort of a thing. So keyboard shortcuts are, you know, those are kind of the determining factors as to what a keyboard shortcut does. If you would like to add and alter some of your shortcuts, this is where you do it. But yeah, that's where you do that. So we're going to go ahead and go down these one at a time. And yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so starting with your global keys, we're going to start with Control O. Now when I do this, because this is a brand new file that has not been saved, it's going to ask me whether or not I want to save this before opening something else. So Control O, save changes before closing. We're going to go ahead and save this just to show you what's what. I'm going to stick it in Blender here, Files, and then I don't know, Keymaps. Okay, save. Okay, Control O. There's Keymaps. We're gonna open that. It's already open, so whatever. There it goes. Okay, Control S is save. Does exactly what it sounds like. If your file has not been saved yet, it will bring up that same interface to get you to save it. Control N, new file, is going to ask you what your template is that you want to jump into. So that's that. Control Z is undo, like with almost everything else. Shift Control Z or Control Shift Z, however you want to say that, is redo. Control Q is quit. F1 brings up help context. Oh my gosh, F1 is not working at all. Oh yeah, okay. Yes. Just so you are aware, F1, I totally forgot about this. F1 will, whatever you are hovering over or, you know, want questions about, if you hit F1, it's going to bring up the documentation in your browser. So yeah, so that's what I'm seeing on my other monitors right now. The documentation just came up. Just so you know, that's what just happened. Okay, so let me shut these out really quick. Now you'll see here my cube. I'm going to activate it. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Activate it. Hit F2, and it's going to bring up a rename box, and I can name it to my cube. Neat. See, so now you can see up here, it has changed the name here as well. All right, now F3. If you remember, Shift A brings up your add menu. Okay. If I do F3, if I hit F3, okay, it's bringing up a menu search. So if I want like I don't know, cube. Okay, it's going to bring up. It just brought the menu directly to the forefront, so I can hit that and add that mesh. It's useful when you are aware of something that you can't quite remember exactly where it is in this menu. All you have to do is hit F3 and then search for whatever you can't remember exactly where it's located, you know, sub-menu wise, and there you have it. Okay, now F4 is the file context menu. Let me show you how this works, because this isn't exactly, whoops, if you go up here to file, whoops, okay, well, let me just bring it up. F4, file context menu. Okay, you have new, open, link, append, import, export, and preferences. Now, obviously, this isn't exactly what you find under the file menu, but it has kind of some of your central operations, that you're going to use a lot, like new, open, import, export, and then over here in edit, you've got your link to preferences. So that's pretty much kind of a shortcut for some of your more basic and useful Blender operations as far as global sort of operations. Okay, now F5 through F8 are reserved for user actions. You can set them for whatever you want to set them for. Now F9 is adjust last operation. This is actually really cool. Let me show you how this works. Okay, now we're going to bring the cube in close here. And I'm just going to grab it, stick it just, a couple of units over, drop it. If I hit F9, actually really quickly before I do that, follow my cursor, go down here. You see this little box that says move? Okay, we're going to talk about that in just a second if we haven't already. But I'm going to hit F9, and it's going to bring up this little menu. Okay, whoops. And it disappeared. Okay, this little menu. Now, it has everything, all the variables used for what I just did. So I performed a grab, a move, right? So it has my X, Y, and Z coordinates. So if I want, I can actually change it to, let's do 2 meters over X, Y's. Okay, so now that's exactly 2 meters to positive on the X axis. Let's do 2 on the Y and 2 on the Z. Why not? There it goes. Okay, now this is exactly what you find down here in this guy. Okay, so whenever you perform an operation, I believe we've already covered this, but just in case we haven't, whatever the operation is, a little box will appear down here where you can refine that operation. Okay, F10 is reserved for user action. F11 is show render window. Because I haven't set up an animation or pre-rendered or anything, look, let me just go up here. If you go up to the render tab, you will notice render image is F12, control F12 is render animation. Then we've got F11 render or view render, control F11 view animation. If I hit F11 right now, nothing's going to happen. Nothing has been prepared to render, really. So yeah, nothing's going to happen right off the bat with that, but that's what F11 and F12 both do. Okay, Q, just the key Q is quick access. If I hit that, my favorites menu, quick favorites menu comes up. Annotate is added here. If I want to take something off of my menu, if I right click here, it says remove from quick favorites. I hit that and it no longer appears. I can also add things to quick favorites as well. So now I'm going to hit Q again. Now transform is there instead of annotation. Okay, so control spacebar maximizes whatever editor I'm in. However, I'm not going to be able to show you control alt spacebar because let me pull this out of full screen. Control alt spacebar for me, for my system, is my system's pie menu. So there's a conflict of shortcuts there. So I'm just gonna leave that to you. Okay, but let's move on to control page up and page down. This jumps through workspaces. This is actually a really helpful, quick, easy way to jump through your workspaces. None of mine have fully been loaded, so this is just going to take a second to get them all. There we go. All right, control up, control down. Well, this is up, that's down. So up goes left, down goes right. Okay, so let's move on to some of the more what spacebar does. Okay, if we most of the time what you're going to use spacebar for is for playing an animation. So if I hit spacebar, you can see my read head is moving to the right. Hit it again, it stops it. So it basically toggles play. If I do shift control spacebar, it's going to play backwards. Okay. Now, in the documentation, it says for play, toggle animation playback for the spacebar, right? Then it says tools, tool switching with hotkeys, which I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what they're talking about. But what I think they might be talking about is if you hit Alt, you'll notice at the bottom of my screen a selection of tools come up. You see that? Okay, Alt, they're all there again, right? Now, if I hit any one of those, a tool, that tool will become my next select tool. So, for instance, well, what the problem is, I guess I should say, is the cursor, right? The 3D mouse cursor, selecting that is the spacebar. So if I hit spacebar, you'll see that my tool just changed from select to the 3D mouse cursor. You see that right up here? See that happen? Okay, and if you didn't, let me do it again. So I'm going to hit my select tool. I'm going to bring up my my Alt tool selection box, and I'm going to hit space. Watch right here, and it just switched to my 3D mouse, or to my 3D cursor. I think that's what they might be talking about, because while you're in that mode, hitting spacebar is not gonna play your animation. So it says in quotes, instead, shift spacebar will play that in this state. So let's see if that works. Shift spacebar doesn't appear to work. So I honestly don't know what they're talking about there. All right, the next section is common editing keys. So this just has two entries, X and delete. These both do similar things, but they're a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. Whoops. Still was 3D cursor. Okay, duplicate that. Okay. Now, if I hit X, it's going to ask me with confirmation dialog whether or not I want to delete that cube. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. However, with delete, the actual delete key, I'm going to hit that, and it's just going to take it out. Okay, so again, drop a cube there. Hitting X brings up the confirmation dialog. So unless you are absolutely 100% sure that you want to delete something, I would suggest just getting into the habit of using X as your default removal kind of go-to key, because sometimes you might not want to delete something and then you're going to have to undo. I mean, it's a shortcut away, but still. Okay, the next subsection is common editor keys. So really quickly, to kind of set things up for this, I'm going to add, let's add a monkey and stick over here. Let's add, I don't know, a sphere, stick it here, and let's drop a torus somewhere. Okay, all right, good deal. Okay, so A is select all. Now this works, okay, these keys work in the 3D viewport, UV, and graph editor. So A selects everything, including your camera and light source. Alt A is select none. Okay, H is hide selection. So if I have this selected and hit H, okay, it's going to hide it. Now, if look up here, right here, okay, you see where these little eyes are. I can bring that back by clicking that. It's going to bring my monkey back. Okay. Now, okay, how do I say this? All right, I'm going to select these two here, and I'm going to hide them. Whatever is hidden, if I hit Alt-H, it's going to reveal those hidden items, like so. That did not happen. Oh, that was not Alt-H. Whoops. Okay, Alt-H. Okay, hold on a second. There we go. Alt-H brings them back. Sorry, I got keyed up there. Pun intended. Okay, T toggle toolbar. I think we already went over this, right? See the toolbar coming in and out. N toggle sidebar. This fun little guy. I'm pretty sure we've gone over both of these, but just in case, there they are. Okay, 3D viewport. Sorry, 3D viewport keys. Tab is edit mode toggle. Okay, so now notice how, well, just notice it suddenly all my nodes on my monkey appeared when I hit tab. Okay, so tab toggles edit mode like so. If I select my sphere, hit edit, now I can see all the vertices on my sphere. So I'm back in object mode. I select my torus, hit tab, go to my edit mode. I can see all the vertices there as well. No, I guess we will get to that in just a second. Okay, control tab, mode switching pie menu. This is actually pretty cool and very useful. Now see control tab, it's going to bring up all of my available modes I can switch to right now. So I can go to object mode. I can go to edit mode from there instead of hitting tab. Okay, back to object mode. Now this is what I wanted to show you guys. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, if I go into edit mode, 1, 2, 3, you'll notice how, here, let's zoom in on my torus here. Yeah. Okay, now if I hit 1, it's going to take me to vertex specific edit mode. Okay, now that's the reason why I can see each vertice and why I can select, whoops, that was an accident, select them independently. Okay, or as groups if I so desire. But if I go to 2, if I hit the number 2, not 2 in my keypad or 2 in my my number pad on the side of the keyboard, but the number row at the top above all the alphabetic characters. Okay, that's what we were talking about. Okay, so let me hit number 2, and we are going to edge edit mode. Okay, so we're dealing with the actual edges that connect the vertices. You see that? I'm going to select them. So now when I click there, it's highlighting the edges. Even if I try to select a vertice, it's going to decide which edge is closer. 3 is the face select mode. So even if I try to select an edge or a vertice, it is going to decide which face is closest, because we are in edge select mode, or edge edit mode. All right. Okay, the next key we're going to talk about is your accent grave key or your tilde key. It's right below your escape key on the upper left-hand corner of the keyboard. If I hit that, a pie menu is going to pop up. And this is my 3D viewport navigation pie menu. So this can, my suggestion is to just memorize your keypad, your numeric keypad, and how it works. If you don't have a keypad, I guess you can use this, but let me show you what I mean here. If I hit top, see how it has a little 8 right there next to it? Okay, that is going to do the same thing as if I just hit 8 on my number pad, which is going to give me a view from the top. Okay, moving on, control tilde or accent grave, whatever you want to call that key. If I hit control tilde, that removes my gizmo. See right up here in the corner? Yeah, you went bye-bye. So if I do it again, control, my little gizmo is going to come back. This, you know what that is, right? It shows you your orientation within the 3D Blender 3D within the 3D space. Okay, so control tilde says hi and bye. Well, all your gizmos actually, as you see, they all come and go. Okay, now shift tilde is interesting. This puts you into fly mode. If you don't know what this is, I will show you really quickly. So shift tilde. Now, instead of navigating traditionally, I am now in fly mode, which means if I hit the up button, it's like going forward, like navigating a 3D game. Okay, down arrow is back, left, right, Okay, and you can see along, whoops, mouse is look. So let me, I don't know that I can get out of this. Okay, just look across the bottom of the screen. You'll see W, S, right forward, and S backwards. The arrow keys work just as fine. Left, right. So that's like a normal, traditional key kind of walkthrough setup for a 3D game. That's basically what it is. Okay, it's fly through or walk navigation. Okay, for this, I'm just going to bring the documentation back up. Take a look. This is platform specific keys, and this is specific to Mac OS. Personally, I use Linux, so this is not something I need to deal with, nor is it something that anybody that uses Windows needs to deal with. But if you're a Mac person, you're going to want to worry about this. Okay, so the command key can be used instead of control on Mac OS for all but a few exceptions which conflict with the operating system. List of additional Mac OS specific keys, command, comma, preferences. So command, comma obviously brings up preferences. Aha, here it is, my friends. This is what they were talking about with the spacebar earlier in this documentation, where it was, had play tools and search. Let me show you. Remember, I was trying to figure out when you hit Alt in the here we are. Okay, spacebar, user configurable. This is what they're talking about. Altering what the spacebar actually does, and how they, how it does different things in different situations. So you can configure the spacebar to bring up to be a tool switching mechanism. And in the case that you do, Shift spacebar will be what causes the read head to begin to sequence through your imagination, through your animation. Okay, and in the case that you want it to bring up your search dialog, Shift spacebar also toggles animation play. Okay, so let's jump back down here because this is kind of an interesting part. We sort of brought that up at the beginning. So from here till the end of the video, we are going to be doing all of this. And yep. Okay, so let's jump over to preferences. Up to edit. Whoops. Up to edit. Down to preferences. Back to where we were previously. I'm going to kind of just blow this up a little bit. Okay, so Keymap preferences. So the first thing it's talking about is selecting with mouse button. Okay, so at the very top here we see select with mouse button, and this allows you to decide whether or not you want to select with the left or right mouse button. There are multiple reasons why you may want to select with your right mouse button versus your left mouse button. Personally, I like selecting with my left mouse button. I've never run into any major issues like a lot of 3D artists talk about. I have always guessed, there's ways around all of the issues. I guess for them it helps them perform a little faster. I've just never personally found issue with it, but I'm going to leave a link in the video description to another video where another Blender artist talks about the pros and cons between using left and right mouse buttons for select. So if you want to learn more about exactly why that's kind of an issue with some artists, check out the video. He does a really good job at explaining that. So I suggest, whether or not you care, to take a look at the video because it is interesting information and it's useful to know, especially when you're working with other people. All right, spacebar action, play, tools, search. Now it makes sense what they were talking about earlier, right? Okay, so I like to keep it at play. I think most people do, but you can also make it to where spacebar cycles through your tools and search and brings up a search bar if you want it to. I like it to just stay my play bar. Okay, I was not sure what the difference was between activate gizmo event, press, and drag. I had to fiddle around with it. I have not found any direct difference, but apparently what's happening is the difference between press and drag is with your gizmos is when you press, okay, so these gizmos like the magnifying glass and drag, right, where drag is a secondary operation. It has something to do with the click getting passed through into the gizmo, whereas with drag, it's just directly the action being performed, allowing the click also to be passed through to the gizmo instead of just being halted. I don't know exactly. I don't see a difference personally. I don't see a performance difference. Apparently, press introduces a little bit of a lag. Perhaps when your scene is bloated with content, and you don't have a lot of you're not running a super capable system. Perhaps it might have some effect there, but I don't see any direct difference. If you guys have any different experience or a little bit more information on that, let me know, because I'm a little I just don't see a huge difference. Anyway, moving on. Select all toggle. Okay, so you know how A selects all, let's just do it. A selects all in the scene, right? And then if you want to deselect, Alt A. Well, with select all toggles, you don't have to use Alt A. You can just use A to select all and A to deselect, like that. It's really a preference thing. I don't mind Alt A because that's just how I learned it, but I could see the appeal of that. So yeah, in fact, that's pretty cool. Okay, Alt click, or actually, okay, yeah. Remember, hitting Alt, right, brings up that kind of menu bar across the bottom for selecting whatever tool I want. See, remember across the bottom, I can just remember Spacebar brought me selects the 3D cursor. Okay, that's what that does. That enables that action. If I deselect that and I go back to my 3D viewport and hit Alt, see, nothing happens across the bottom. That's because I got rid of that great, amazing tool. So I'm just going to keep that selected. Grave accent tilde action, navigate, and gizmos. So that is basically what that does, right? So you see what I'm saying? Let me make this not confusing. Okay. So, navigate, tilde. So, right with that selected, this is what comes up. If I select gizmos, the tilde button, brings up, right, rotate, scale, move, all, show gizmos, which pulls those up in the corner, these guys. Okay, next, I like navigate. Okay, middle mouse action, orbit, or pan. Yeah, so this is typical orbit behavior. Pan is what you get, like this. Pan is like this. So middle mouse button, if I select pan, it's going to, it's going to have that sort of an action when I middle mouse click, instead of this orbiting action. And Alt middle mouse drag action, relative or absolute. Oh yeah, this. Okay. Okay, this really isn't a huge thing. I mean, I don't know. Let me just show you how this works. It's really, you'll see what's happening here. Okay, so we're going to leave it at relative. Okay, Alt, middle mouse button, click. Okay, click and drag action. So let me show you how this works. Okay, so let's get in nice and close here. Alt, middle mouse button. So Alt, middle mouse button, click and drag. Oops, I need to be in a. Let's get in a front. Sorry. Oh my gosh! Come on, guy. Yes. Nope, that's not what I want you doing. Okay, there we go. Okay, Alt, middle mouse button, click and drag. Okay, see what just happened there? I dragged downward. Okay, drugged down, dragged. English. Okay, Alt, middle mouse button, click, drag down. Okay, notice my gizmo up here. Okay, Z up. So I'm looking down at my scene. Now, if I drag down again, watch what happens. Watch the gizmo. Okay, watch what's happening with the gizmo. Alt, middle mouse button, click, drag down. Now Y is up. Alt, middle mouse button, click, drag. Alt, middle mouse button, click, drag down. Z is up again. Y is up again. Okay. Now if I go if I go from down to up, right? Alt, middle mouse button, click, go up. Didn't work. Alt, middle mouse button, click, go up. Z, bottom. Okay. I'm looking up from the bottom. Do it again. Up. Oh, this is so funky. It doesn't. It's a bizarre one, and I always get not always the same results. So if I go left to right, okay, do it again, left to right, do it again, left to right, do it again, left to right. See how it's kind of just, whoops, kind of just rotating it, right? Okay, so that's supposedly relative. I can go the other way. Okay. So relative meaning it's more intuitive, I suppose. Absolute ties you to an axis, ties the map direction to a specific axis. So watch. Let's get a front view. Alt. Wait, did I change? Yes. Okay. So Alt, middle mouse click up. Okay. Oops. All right. So now I'm tied to the x-axis. So it will always be rotating around the x-axis. Oops. Oh, come on, guy. Oh yeah. That's right. You can. Okay. This is a weird one. So now that my z-axis is up. Okay, it's what is vertical. If I go left to right, okay, it keeps z-axis vertical, and it looks like it just stops here. Then I can go back. Okay, yeah, it just flips me back over to the other side. But now that y-axis is horizontal, yeah. See, it's I don't know. I think it's weird. I don't like absolute. I like relative. It makes more intuitive sense to me. But if the other way made sense to you, and if that was more intuitive to you, go nuts. Okay, bumping on down to the next toggle button here. Tab for pie menu. That is... well, here. Okay. So instead of, well, actually, let's do it back the normal. Okay. Normally, Control Tab brings up my edit mode or my mode tab menu, right? Or pie menu. that's all it's talking about. So if you do tab for Pi menu, just tab will bring that up. You don't have to do control tab. Okay, so Pi menu on drag allows you to have a Pi menu open up under some few certain conditions. So if I select that, for instance, the tab button, okay, toggles my edit mode, right? If I hold it down and then simply drag, I don't have to click or do anything, just drag. See, my edit mode Pi menu opens up. Okay, so Z, when I'm in edit mode, it will bring up wireframe mode. Right? This is, if you look over here, these buttons over here, this is wireframe mode. Now, if I hold Z down and drag, my shading mode comes up. So solid, material, preview, wireframe, and rendered. So we can go back to solid here. And okay, so accent grave, holding it down and drag brings up what normally comes up with control accent grave. Okay, so that's that. And then the last one is the extra shading Pi menu items. It just brings up extra shading Pi menu items. So traditionally you have the solid, wireframe, rendered, material, preview. This has also brought up toggle overlays and toggle X-ray. All right, well, that is it for this Docwalk. So I will see you guys in the next one. Industry compatible Keymap. Thanks, bye.